Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Logan and today we're going to be looking at the Arcana Jianghu Lenormand. This one had been on my radar for quite some months, but I was a little trigger shy or whatever because of the international shipping. I was only seeing it on, Asian websites, and I wasn't sure if I would love it enough to, pay the international shipping. Fast forward a good few months, I just found it recently on is it the Vermilion Collective website with like the Sleepwalker's Tarot or Dreamwalker's Tarot and whatnot. It's on there, at least in the US, for like $15. So I was like, okay, no, I can't pass this up. I have to invest in this and try it out. And, it shipped domestically, so it was insanely cheap and like it's of nice quality. So that's crazy. They could still be asking more for this. I'm not quite sure why they're not, actually. Anyway, fantastic deck. I started pulling it out and using it for my, Lenormand Beginners little video series on here, which you might have seen some of the videos from. You might recognize the art style. And yeah, looking at it closer like that, it's just like, oh my God, I should have put this in the video for like decks and books for Lenormand beginners, because this is such, in my opinion, an ideal Lenormand beginner deck. The art is beautiful, the aesthetic is so inviting and sumptuous, but yet it's very restrained. You have a very clear focus on the actual symbol on each card. It's not too busy. It's just, it's so beautiful. So if you're a Lenormand beginner, by all means, stick around, because I think this could be a really fun beginner deck. And if you're not a Lenormand beginner, stick around anyway, because we're about to look at a really, really beautiful deck, really unique and beautiful. So let's read a little bit about it, shall we, before we look at the images. So we have here in the preface, Jianghu is a fictional world in Chinese wuxia martial heroes stories. By the way, if my pronunciation is ghastly, I apologize. In Jianghu, heroes and heroines travel freely around the world on horseback, carrying their swords. Martial arts masters roam the streets or towns, fighting evil and upholding righteousness. Like-minded friends come together by chance or are separated from each other to different corners of the world. For today's people, such a purely romantic world is indeed desirable. The reason why this Lenormand deck is named after Jianghu is to make you think of the beautiful and romantic Jianghu world when using these cards. This deck is designed with fresh colors and smooth ink brushwork, showing you a wonder world full of ideals and tenderness. To make the Lenormand cards more compatible with Chinese style and Jianghu theme, a lot of interesting changes were made in the creation of the images. For example, the heart is a pair of jade ornaments that can be combined into a heart shape, which is like the love tokens of the heroes and heroines in martial arts novels, showing a unique emotional connection. The cross is a sword stained with blood on the ancient battlefield, representing the cruelty and painful gray times. The man and woman cards are also designed with Chinese-style clothing. Hope this unique Lenormand deck may present you more surprises. So I think that's enough for us to go on to get an idea of what's up. This deck does have one bonus card that they included, which is alcohol, which, you're not under compulsion to include in your copy of the deck if you don't want to. But I think it could be interesting reading it as like, excesses, or even like the time it takes for fermentation to happen, patience, that sort of thing. I think that could be interesting. But let's get into the traditional cards, shall we? So here we have Rider. We have this dashing figure on horseback. I love the detail of like dust being kicked up, maybe pebbles even, some sort of almost like a tailwind, I guess, following along as this horse runs. And I mean, look how far into this run they are leaning. I also love the garb on the rider. I love their hat. We have mountains in the background. There's just so much kinetic energy in this image, and I think it really ties in beautifully to the rider card and its themes of, incoming news or incoming visitors. Something is definitely incoming with this artwork. Here we have Clover. I love how simple it is. I love the color palette. I love the way these blue-greens are contrasted by this like berry tone. Also, the deck is a nice manageable size. The backs are also very beautiful. Here we have ship. I love the orangey red clouds. It gives me, I don't know, it gives me possibility and promise and like this huge journey that's about to unfurl before us on the wide open sea, which I do like for a ship card, you know? Here we have house. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the little lantern details here, the banners. I love that we have some of that reflected in the water that's implied at the bottom here, but it's not overpowering the image. It's still simple enough to where you know exactly what you're looking at. Here we have tree. It's all quite beautiful, I think. Here we have the clouds card, which I really love. I think these shapes are so beautiful. I love the swirling ink lines. I love the stormy deep gray of them. And I also love these pops of like bright amber yellow. There's just a delicious stormy, like just before the rain starts falling quality to it. And it's moody and it's perfect. I really love it. For snake, we have a very striking cobra, or maybe an about to be striking cobra is a better way to put it. Coffin here, we have what looks to be a casket. I like the effect they have where it's like there's this bright shining highlight at the top. I think it's a really beautiful use of like light and shadow to convey reflection and shininess. Bouquet. I love it when the bouquet card is like a simple vase with just really elegant branches and blooms coming out of it. I don't see that a whole lot. I think a lot of the time we get those bouquet cards that are like, I don't know, like the type of flowers Miss America would get or whatever, like on stage, which is beautiful and fine and great. But I do especially love it whenever we get something a little bit different like this. I think it's really, really stunning. Scythe here, pretty clear, pretty easy to read. We have our hand scythe and it's curled around wheat, about to be harvested. Wheat? Yeah. It's like, is that wheat or is that rice? But I don't see like anything watery here. So I'm assuming it's on a hill in wheat and not like, you know, how rice is grown in water and stuff. I could be totally wrong, but I'm just guessing. Here we have the whip, which looks like it's destroying this poor table. Very cool, very kinetic, very forceful. And I think the forceful aspect is really useful to have in the imagery. For birds, we have these beautiful parrots. I love that this one's mouth is open, so we get that chatter, that chattiness that can come along with the birds card as well for the verbal communication aspect. Here we have child. This kid is adorable. This is such a cute art style to have the child done in. Child cards can sometimes be terrifying because either they're sweet, innocent, and cute, or they look like deranged goblins from hell because the artist does not know how to draw children. And I'm very happy to say I think this child card is very, very cute. Here we have the fox. Very lovely. I like the motion of it. Bear. Very, very nice, very strong, powerful figure. And then we also have this cute little cub on Mama's back. Stars. I like our trees here, the deep night sky, bright star, and then we get to see some of those things reflected in the still water. I love the reflections in this deck, in the water. See, more awesome reflections. We have the stork card, which is quite beautiful. I think we often see the stork mid-flight, and I think it's really nice to see this sort of serene change where they're just standing in the water at the moment. I also think the yellow blooms do a really nice job of breaking up all of the otherwise kind of monochromatic imagery that we get from the black, white, and gray. Here we have dog, which is painfully cute. The goodest of good boys. Love the little bell on their collar. Here we have tower, this beautiful structure. I love how far off and removed it feels, because I do like looking at tower as a card of like, you know, isolation, whether self-imposed or not. And so having it feel removed, I think, is really interesting and nice. Garden, look how lush. Look at all this lush plant life that we have. We have a pond of sorts here, little waterfall, water feature type of thing going on. Gazebo is not the word. Is it pagoda? Is it gazebo? I can't remember the structure in the background. Very beautiful. Very, very beautiful and peaceful looking. Here we have mountain. Very imposing, very challenging. Paths. I also appreciate the multi-language at the bottom here. I'm assuming this is in Chinese next to the English, but I did not look in the guidebook, but I could be wrong. But it's a Jianghu thing, so Chinese, yeah? Correct me if I'm wrong. For paths, it's very simple. We have 2 branching paths going through this bamboo forest. I think it's cool too, because we have this first fork here, and then if you follow the left path, it looks like there's another fork. So I like the emphasis on choices. Here we have mice. I love this kind of depiction for mice cards where we see one or more mice like nibbling on grain sacks or things like that, because I think that's a really great way to demonstrate the energy of the mice card, which is like a slow dwindling away that we might not even notice. Like we could be, you know, hemorrhaging spare cash or, you know, who knows what for months and not notice, because it's something tiny and inconspicuous and it's subtle, you know, like you forget to cancel your Netflix subscription, and so you've been paying them like $70 over the last year and you didn't realize, kind of thing. And yeah, I just feel like the mice slowly nibbling away in the grain storeroom is really an ideal way to reflect that. Here we have heart, which is the jade. The jade wasn't jewelry, the jade structure, jade art piece, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember the word in the little white book, but the 2 pieces that make the single heart, which is quite lovely. Here we have the ring, very straightforward. I love the red thread, what looks to be beautiful jade in the stone, or for the stone, I should say. Here we have book. I could be wrong. It looks like we have a candle of some sort burning, providing illumination. Maybe our research is so in-depth that it's taking us into the night and we need to bring our own artificial light source to continue reading. Letter. I love that we have the calligraphy pen out. We have our inkwell. We have our wax seal ready to go in our envelope, definitely capturing the correspondence nature of the letter card. Sorry about that. My phone started ringing because, of course, you get calls when you're trying to record something on it, right? So then we have our significator, or rather our human significator cards, because any card in a Lenormand deck can be used as a significator for something or other. So we have man. We have 2 man cards, which are both quite lovely and quite different in appearance. I like that a lot. I love it when we have a long-haired man card in any kind of deck. These are quite beautiful. I'm a fan. And then we have 2 woman cards. Again, one looking a bit more reserved and one looking a bit more adventurous and ready to beat ass. Love them both. I think they're both quite lovely. This sword is so cool. And then I love this bright citrusy yellow on her garment. Also love that the deck gives us 4 people cards total. That's really nice. Lilies, beautiful, very serene. Love the color palette. Love these like blue greens and this jade green against the whites, these really dark greens, and then the pale pinks. I think it's really soft and lovely. Here we have the sun, which feels very victorious, perhaps after a long day of work or hard battle or something like that. Very, very victorious feeling vibe there to me. Moon, we have a figure on a boat. I think this is really tranquil, really nice. Total, like, just out relaxing on the lake vibes, and I like that. Here we have key, quite stunning. Beautiful color palette. I love this deep red against these greens. The golden key, the shape itself is really quite lovely. We have what's maybe a pearl or a moonstone towards that end of the key as well. Really, really nice. Fish, we have what to me looks like two koi fish. Really beautiful. I love the composition. I love that we have the sort of foliage down here and these flowers coming up there. Really, really subtle and like understated, but just so classy. Here we have anchor. Now I do like it when my anchors are in the sea, but since this is not a like nautical theme deck or whatever, it's okay. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's really beautiful. I love the detailing on the rope here. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but the line work is really stunning, as is the line work for the actual wood grain of the stump itself. And then that takes us to the cross card, which, as mentioned in the little white book, we get away from the Christian imagery, and instead we have this battle-worn sword just sort of implanted in the battlefield. And I think it's stunning. I think it's powerful. I think it really speaks to hardship. And so it's a change that I'm very, very here for. And, you know, we really don't have to change the title for the card either, because we still have the cross shape in the sword itself. So yeah, this one, I'm so excited to work with this deck. I've had it for a few weeks now and I haven't gotten to do anything with it because I was like, no, I'm going to keep it in order. I'm not going to randomize it because I want to do a YouTube walkthrough for it. And then I started using it in the Lenormand beginner videos that I was doing. And yeah, so now it's like, I finally feel like I can take it out and mix it up and really get to know it. It's got a really nice matte finish. The cards are thick enough to feel sturdy, but not so thick that they're unwieldy to shuffle. I think you could probably riffle shuffle this, maybe. I'm not a riffle shuffler, but I think you could. I think you could. Maybe you could. I won't go that far. Maybe you could. But anyway, I will put a link in the description below of where you can find this deck. I hope you've had a good time sitting here with me today as we take a little tour through the Arcana Jianghu Lenormand. And yeah, let me know your thoughts on this deck. If you have this deck, if the art style is totally your bag. You know, I'm a chatty bitch and I like chatting with people. So feel free to say hi. And, you know, in the meantime, take care of yourself. And yeah, bye-bye.